Dayfacto podcast is privileged to have been founded on Wadjuk Noongar land.
We pay our respects to the traditional owners of this land and express our sincere gratitude for their ongoing guidance as we work in their community.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dayfacto, where we discuss our 9-to-5 kind of relationships in another podcast literally no one asked for. I'm Nicolette.
I'm Kate.
And also a huge big shout out to producer Lainey, who's also here with us.
Today's sponsor is Frankfurt.
That's what we or Little Boys.
Little Boys. Big feature in Kath and Kim series.
Yep.
Loves
Little, and they're good for the holiday season.
Yes, they're great for the holiday season. I used them in a game at a recent hens party.
Whoa.
So what you do is partner up, have one little boy per pair, and then you have to throw the little boy at the other person, and they have to catch with anything but their hands.
Oh.
And then if you catch it, you take a step back.
So what were you using your mouth?
Actually,
you could use your arm.
the person I was partnered up with pulled her top out and caught it in her top.
Yeah.
I was wearing a cowboy hat. Used a cowboy hat. So
won.
obviously I
Is that
won.
my cowboy hat?
It was your cowboy hat.
That's what that scent is.
So I won.
Well, that's good. I've seen that before, and you throw like those sausages and people have to catch them in their mouth. Frankfurt's little boys.
Choking hazard.
That's what I'm
Choking
thinking.
hazard.
Probably not good.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so after achieving international success for season 1, we are so excited to be back for a massive season 2, which I have coined Let's Go Girls.
It's gonna be huge.
Huge. We're coming in hot this season with 6 downright funny as fuck episodes. What are we covering next?
We're covering dating abroad, consent and coercion. What's the next one, Kate?
Red flags and when to start shitting near someone.
Well, huge topics. Should we talk about anal play before it happens? Emotional damage from long-term relationships.
And it wouldn't be in a de facto season without a bunch of bonus episodes. And like always, we will be kicking every episode off with a before we start or a before of the before or a before we get into it or a before of the before of the before. So
and we're pumped to be back.
We're pumped to be back. Let's do it.
Every week we're pumped to be back.
Yes.
It's been too long.
Yes.
We're back.
And if we have any new listeners, because obviously we're always getting new listeners.
Always.
De facto, it's kind of a dating podcast. We talk shit. It's basically a podcast that no one asked for, but we thought we wanted to start. So
We just love the sound of our voices
voices.
so much that we thought we'd share it with the people.
Exactly. Bring the people what they didn't ask for.
Exactly.
Okay, today's episode is called Da-da-da-da.
It's not you, it's the dog.
It is the dog. It's not you, it's the dog. It's always going to be the dog.
Yep.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about love abroad. Can you change how you feel about someone when you get back to reality? Does location play a part for falling from someone? Can you still date someone you have zero in common with? Huge thing. And how to dump someone who just won't take the hint.
And we've got some huge tips for you in all of these conversations.
Massive.
Okay, the before of the before.
The before.
Before we get into it, what are we talking about?
I had a question for you, Kate,
Go on.
because I caught up with a friend the other day and we were talking about she's on all the apps.
The apps.
You know, the Hinges, the
Tinders, the Bumbles,
Tinders, all
the
the
Buzzy
apps.
Bees, Buzzy Bee Bumble.
And she was saying she was talking to this guy and it was like maybe 1 or 2 chats in like early days, just having a little chat. And
What, like a, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
What do you do for work?
Yeah.
What do you do on the weekends?
you know, just like the before you meet up for a date.
before of
chats.
the before,
As we say.
as we know.
So my question is, should you get to know someone and like really get to know them on dating app before you meet up, or do you just do a few like basic chats and then go straight to meeting up and then if no connection in person, move on? Because this is what happened to her. Few chats, maybe 1 or 2 days talking, said, would you be open to like you pegging me? So this guy
He said this on an app.
before
They'd
they'd
never met.
1 or 2 days in. And that's no shame to people into pegging. That's not what we're talking about here. We're saying, do you ask, and this is for a guy asking a girl, if they will peg them on a dating app? Do you go on a few dates? Do you get them down the line? Do you maybe form a connection then ask?
I reckon you've got to fuck them at least once or
And
twice.
then maybe bring it up?
And then talk about what you're into sexually.
Okay, so that's what I thought. And I was thinking, if that's the thing he's asking on dating apps, that's probably like the tip of the iceberg that he's
For him.
into. And then from there, it's a lot more like kinky things.
Very kinky.
Which is fine. So maybe he's just testing the waters, putting it out there
Yeah.
because that's what he likes in the bedroom, which is fine.
Which is fine.
But he wouldn't want to get a connection and into someone and then on the third date be like, hey, what are you into? And they're like, no, not into any of that. And then
yeah.
there we go. So
Okay, so back to the original question.
can you get to know someone or
I reckon it goes either way.
Yeah.
I've had times, well, I haven't actually caught up with that many people from Tinder. I would say probably like 5. 5 maybe. Or 2 hands.
Okay.
Number of people. And some of them it's been like hardly no talking. We just caught up.
Yeah.
And then others we've been talking for fucking months before we caught up.
Yeah.
But my friend has a really great rule.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls it the 1 week rule. So if you're not planning to meet up with them in 1 week, like if you guys are talking for a week and there's no plans, he says cut them off.
Oh, I agree. If someone hasn't asked you out on a date within the week, I mean, you can always ask them to, but
Exactly.
if
Fuck
they're the one who's
patriarchy.
maybe started the conversation and they're continuing it and you're like, okay, should I get off the pot? You know what I mean? Like, are you asking me out or are we not? That's what I want to know.
Yep, so I go 1 week rule.
Yeah, that's good.
Few little tips, I reckon. And I know we've talked about online dating tips before.
We have many a tips.
There's so many tragics out there.
There really is.
We got to keep honing in the message.
Exactly.
But my tips are a little bit different from the last one. I reckon, like what I learned when I was on them, I'm not on them anymore.
Crazy.
Stop it. Is if you're not gonna like hook up with them in real life, like if you see their photo and you're like, I don't think I'd hook up with you in real life, but you're like, oh, I want to give them a chance, don't match.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my thing.
You get off it quickly.
If you're not planning on meeting up with them, don't match with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to like match with these guys and then they'd like be talking to me and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm never going to catch up with you.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not into it. I'm just kind of here for
I'm just bored.
no reason.
Yeah. So don't match. We
Yeah.
don't have time. Just go for, the few that you're like, I actually want to meet you in person or you'd hook up with them. I've also put down, be honest about what you want. However, I think asking someone if you want to peg them
Maybe
that
too
early on is a bit too soon for me,
Yeah.
bro. Let's have sex a few times and then we'll have the conversation about what we like in the
And because
bedroom.
half the time when you're chatting with someone, like the first thing you say isn't like, want to fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you actually like, well, I mean, some people say that and I guess that comes to the next point. Don't be filthy straight off the bat.
Yes, that is what I put. Don't be filthy straight off the bat.
If I like, not that I've obviously been on them in a while, but I reckon like the first chats you get, you were like,
babe.
no thanks. Like there's some of the first comments
Yeah.
are so gross. I'm like, some people, sure, they're just looking for a hookup, whatever. But like, you don't have to be so gross straight away. Like,
Yeah.
little bit of respect.
Bit of respect, babe.
Goes a long way.
But yeah, I do. For some people, I guess it works.
Yeah.
Being like real filthy. But for me, honestly, ask me how I am. That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Little bit of Uma. Kath and Kim joke, throw it in.
Look,
Perfect.
I think Kim wouldn't go astray.
No, it wouldn't.
So yeah, pegging thing.
Maybe wait.
Wait.
Yeah.
Just wait.
I
Catch
reckon
up
he's
with
just
them in real
trying
person. Vibe her in real life.
to. Yeah.
IRL, if you will. IRL.
Exactly. Hip.
Hip.
Cool.
That's it. That's my advice on that
All
one.
right. I'll let her know.
Thank you. Pass on the message. Or just make her wait till this episode comes out.
All right. I'll also. You might want to quickly listen to that. I got all your tips.
Or your tips and tricks.
Great.
Okay, should we get into the episode?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, in terms of our relationship, this one was a 9-to-5er, I'd say. What do you reckon? A winter 9-to-5er.
Yeah. No, I would say a 24/7 by the end of it.
Oh, yeah, no, it was
red shoes at the door every day.
every day. His shoes are at the door.
Love that.
It's not you, it's the dog. Apparently a 24/7 kind of relationship.
Mhm.
Should I go first
Yeah.
and then you go?
Yeah, I reckon
Yeah. So, okay, me and Nicolette lived in Canada.
we did.
So, obviously, we've been to Bali.
Well, actually, more abroad than that than Bali.
We've been more abroad than Bali. We've
We have.
actually lived in Canada together. Now, I just need to scroll down to my little, so I don't forget anything. This guy, he was a great hunk of spunk.
He really was.
He was. A bit of a hornbag.
He was a hornbag. Funny.
Funny.
Always
Funny.
came in for his lattes.
So, in Canada, me and Nicolette lived together. We also worked 2 jobs together.
Wow.
And because we just like to catch up all the time. So we worked at a coffee shop. We had another friend, Sam, who worked with us. She was great. Originally, we went out to music bingo Friday nights. Best night of the whole week. With Sam, and I don't know if Nick was there.
Yeah.
We met that American guy.
Yeah, I was
and
there.
we met Trent. We met
Trent, yeah.
Trent from Punch Bowl.
Anyway.
And previously, like earlier that day, my friend Sam had told us that this really hot guy came into the coffee shop. She served him. He was really cute. And I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting, amazing. And then when we went out to Music Bingo, I didn't realize that that guy was this guy. Fuck, I need a name for him.
Jack.
That's so I didn't realize Jack was the guy that she was into. So I went up to Jack because I thought he was cute and started talking to him. And then meanwhile, Sam's standing there watching me cut her grass. And I felt like the biggest fucking, when I found out, I felt so bad about it. I was like,
Cutting the grass.
I cut her grass. If I want to cut your grass, I will.
I will cut your grass.
I will cut your grass if I have to. Anyway, so met at Music Bingo, cut Sam's grass, whatever. We got along really well. He turns out back in Perth, we only live like 30 minutes away from each other. So we're in Canada, we meet. Oh my God, what? We only live 30 minutes away from each other? That is crazy. What are the chances? What are the fucking chances? Anyway, we had a first date. It was Valentine's Day. He took me out for dinner. He bought me a present for Valentine's Day. There was no more Happy Valentine's Day balloons left, so he got me a happy birthday balloon.
Now that was so cute though.
Scribbled out and put Valentine's Day.
Oh, I remember that.
But it was like this little balloon that I had to carry around to fucking dinner and shit afterwards.
It was so cute.
Anyway, and then I guess we got on really well because we were like came from the same place. He was funny. He was hot.
That's all you need.
And then so we kind of just started hanging out all the time in Canada. One evening, we were hooking up in bed.
And actually, just because like I made the joke with the shoes before, obviously Kate and I live together, and then when you go into the house, obviously your feet are all like snowy and shit, so you take your shoes off at the door. So I would always know like if this guy was over because he had these like red pair of shoes. Which, sorry, but a little bit of flag there. Just saying. We like walk in and I'd be like, oh, the shoes are there. He's here. And then in the morning, I'm like, oh, the shoes are still there. Hello. Straight the night. All right. It was a great indicator of who was over.
Yeah, you could tell.
Easy.
And then if it was like another guy, you'd be like, oh, different shoes.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Crazy.
Anyway, so we're hooking up in bed.
Love it.
He goes down on me. This is another down on me story. I'm relaxed. I was really into it. Fucking having a great time.
Well,
so relaxed. All the muscles just relaxed. We know I'm a gassy girl sometimes. So relaxed. I'm about to have the big moment.
The big moment, yes.
And I farted. Now this
the
has
wrong
happened
big
before.
moment.
I had the wrong big moment. Unfortunately, his face was right there. And it wasn't a little toot. It was like you
don't have to.
I'm gonna do it. It was like no, hold on, let me get this right.
So just a little bit of air, it's fine, shit happens.
Anyway, he looked at me, I was like, and then I think I was so embarrassed I accidentally boxed him underneath and trapped him under the blankets because I was like,
don't come up. Don't look at me.
And eventually he came up, he was like, it's fine, we'll keep going. And I was like, no, the moment is lost. It's gone. Whatever. And then I turned to him and I said, don't you fucking dare tell a single soul.
And knowing
what
you, so
happened.
wouldn't have either.
Yeah. He was like, no, I wouldn't. I would never do that. Whatever you want, it's fine. He was such a nice guy. I was like, you fucking better not tell anyone. Anyway, next day going to work. Girls, guess what happened?
Guess what happened? I feel like I was like, ding, ding, ding. All right, everyone gather around.
All the customers
got a story.
Come closer, everyone. Making people's coffees now. How many sugars do you want?
Wait,
and listen to this.
When we used to work behind, they're like, we'd have these gossip sessions behind the coffee machine as if anyone couldn't hear. And then this happened. Everyone waiting for their coffees was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we thought the coffee machine was like a
some
sound barrier.
Secret soundproof room where like literally everyone can still hear. The cafe was like 10 meters wide, if that.
So yeah, I told everyone about that he farted in my face. And everyone the thing is though, is that he came into the shop that day and like we both know what happened. So we thought it was like, we kind of, eyes each other that, it was a bit funny last night. But like everybody else also knew, and everyone just kind of like watched us interact. And
Everyone was like, okay.
But yeah, so he became our number one customer as well.
Yeah, he was great.
Every morning he'd
Customer
come in.
or free coffees?
Free
Let's be
coffees.
honest.
He'd come in every morning, get his coffee. One day though, oh my God, this is so funny. Because he lived also directly across the road from the coffee shop. So his apartment, you could see the entrance to it. So we would know his movements every day because we were in the coffee shop every day. We could see when he left,
We had the
when
binoculars.
he
We
came
were
back.
aimed
You
on
could
his
see the red shoes from a mile away.
The shoes were glowing. Hello.
Anyway, so he comes in with his housemate one day. His housemate and two girls, right? So it looks like a double date.
Nah.
They order their coffees, they sit down, and it looks like they're on this fucking double date. Everyone in the coffee shop knows that me and him are like
We've
hanging
all got
out.
beef now.
Yeah, and then we're like, whoa.
All right.
The audacity of him to come in here
With
on a
these
fucking,
biddies.
With these biddies on a double date.
Not on.
Anyway, it turns out it wasn't a double date. Oh, no, I think it was a double date, but he just had to do it because his mate was keen on the friend and whatever.
No.
But like, bro, pick another coffee shop to go into, not the one I'm working
But
at.
maybe he was doing that one to make it obvious, like, so you saw him. Because if he'd snuck off to another coffee shop,
We would have seen
we
them.
would have seen there's like four fucking, the
Coffee
town
shops.
is 400 metres long. We would have known if he was there.
Yeah.
We would have found out.
So we continued dating for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, I reckon.
I don't know.
I reckon at least like nearly 2 months.
Do you reckon?
Well, I reckon it was from like
Valentine's
Christmas.
Day. When's Valentine's Day?
Feb.
And when did we leave?
When COVID hit at March.
In March. So
End
a
of
month and a half.
End of March.
End of March, month and a half. Anyway, COVID happened. I said to
That
him
left.
that we were going. It was a whole back and forth scenario, but then anyway, the decision was made that I was going to leave Canada. He decided to stay, and I said to him, I made it very clear that I wanted to be in a relationship with him. I really liked him. I wanted to be with him. Let's make this work. Let's go, baby. He was like, nah, not right now. Not ready for a relationship. Sorry.
Have you seen me?
Have you seen me? We chatted the whole time he stayed in Canada, and then he decided to come home.
Which wasn't that much long after.
No, it was like a month.
This is still COVID, like peak COVID.
Yeah, peak COVID. And then he had to like quarantine over East, and then he had to quarantine in Perth. So I was going and like visiting him during quarantine, right? And then we started hanging out again after that. I kind of then realised that, how do I say this in
His
a nice way?
situations didn't match your situation.
Yes, our situations didn't match. You put him in Canada, hot. Put him back in his natural surroundings, not for me.
Which
Not for me.
brings the question,
Yes,
you can take the boy out of Rockingham.
but you can't take the Rockingham out of the boy.
Exactly. And we
That's
saw
the
that
only-
firsthand.
We saw that firsthand, and
We
that's
did.
the only way I can put
And
it.
you know what was the number one sign of that?
Red shoes.
The red shoes.
The red shoes.
They gave it away. I said, Rockingham?
Now,
Got a little postcode on the back of his shoes.
I don't want to sound like a bitch because if you listen to this, I'll feel horrible.
No.
Because you're great. I loved you, mate. However,
Situations.
just wrong. Ick. I got the ick very quick. And also, he had a gross dog. And we know I don't like dogs.
Gross dog.
It like slobbered all over me and I nearly threw up.
No.
So that's why I'm saying it wasn't him. It was actually the dog.
It was actually the dog. And also, it was like 45 minutes from your house too. Let's be honest. That's not
Yes.
the best.
So then what happened was I was going up north for a week holiday. Before I went up north, I said, I just want to be mates. I just want to be friends kind of thing. He seemed pretty cool about that, I think. Then I went to up north, Coral Bay. Again, big shout out to
shout out.
friends at the Coral Bay
Huge.
pub. I got the job at Coral Bay and decided I was going to stay from a big 6 shifts.
Thought, that's it. Packing up life and I'm doing 6 shifts at the pub.
Yes.
Then I'm done.
And so I let him know that I was staying from a big 6 shifts. At the time, I thought it was going to be more shifts than that. But
we all did.
I wasn't coming back to Perth, was the thing.
No.
And then he was like, I think we really need to talk. I think you're running away from your feelings or something like that. So then he was like, can I call you? Like, I need to speak with you. And I was like, bro, like I said, we're just mates. Like, my feelings are not going to change. He's like, no, I need to speak with you. So he calls me, right? And he says to me that I was, in fact, his best friend. And he was falling in love with me.
Oh, I do remember that.
And what did I do?
Stayed at the Coral Bay pub.
I didn't know what to do. So I said I would think about it. I would ponder what he had said and I would call him back. Well, the unfortunate thing about that is that I did my 6 shifts And then I went out of reception for a couple of months. So
Unfortunate.
I never called him
Don't know.
back. So I think he's still waiting for my phone
He's still
call.
waiting. He's sitting there
He's
2 years later. He's waiting for that call.
Yeah.
You know what?
And that's what happened.
That's all right.
So can your feelings change when you go back to reality? Like you've met someone abroad and then you go back to reality.
100%.
Can your feelings change? We know yes from my experience, but what do you think, Nick?
I agree. I reckon things in common, where they live, holidays. Like, you know, people go on holidays and have these little holiday romances and it's all cute and fun. And then you get back and you're like, actually, no. Because you're in a zone. You're in like a lovey, flirty, like no one of your friends there. No one cares. You're not like introducing them to anyone. And then maybe when you get back, you're like, actually, we have nothing
in
the
common.
same.
Yes. Yes. And I feel like when you kind of like move somewhere, you kind of like adopt the local fucking slang.
Everything.
And you start dressing
Style.
the same.
Which, big pointer, never hook up with someone with ski goggles on. Make sure you see them
Yes.
without their ski gear on because, damn,
They're ugly underneath
it
those
is very
goggles.
different.
Yes.
Not this guy. Not
this
Jack.
guy. Jack.
Not Jack Attack. But people in general, you're like, that guy's hot. And then they take him off and you're like, And I'm sure they probably all said the same about me when I took my goggles off. So. She baddie. Ew.
So, yeah, I feel like you adopt the local kind of like area dress code and fucking whatever. And then you're both kind of dressing the same. And then you go home and then you revert back to your OG
Yeah.
state. And then it can change.
Yeah. And that's the same with like, you have nothing in common. If you like love the outdoors and love doing all this stuff and then you come back and then they're like not into that, you're like,
Yeah.
They like
And
to do
imagine
cruises on the Christmas canals.
Christmas light show on the canals.
Canals?
In Mandra. That's where he would propose, was our plan.
Well, that would
So
be
we just
lovely.
had this running joke that he would take me on the canals in Mandra.
Turns out he didn't even live on the canals. What's the point?
What's the point?
If I'm not getting your house on the canals, don't want it.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Um,
And then I guess that comes to how to dump someone who just won't take the hint.
I've got the best solution.
All right, hit us.
Don't call them back.
Go
Move
out of reception.
14 hours up north and go out of reception. It's the only solution.
You've also got be open and honest.
Yes, I did put also flip side of that, be open and honest.
Kate's point, be open and honest. Kate's point, absolutely not. No, just get out of there. But I reckon if you haven't heard from them,
don't not call them back. If you say they're gonna, if you call them back, I did the wrong thing.
or just say, I can't
Hands
talk
up.
about this right now. And then as the other person, take that as the hint.
That's a hint.
If
bro.
they wanted to, they would. And if they didn't say yes and they didn't call you back, sorry. That's the hint.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the story. But Nicolette also, for the first time ever, is going to tell a story.
It's not really a story. It's more tips on long distance relationship.
Because we know she did long distance.
I
with
did.
her now fiance.
I did. But actually, when I was like talking about this the other day, I was like looking up some of the statistics because like, I wonder how many people actually survive.
Well, I
long-distance
did a long
relationship.
distance.
Well,
We didn't survive very long.
no, you didn't. But it's all right.
Oh, I love him. Nah, I'm kidding. Go, hit me with some long distance stats. Hold on, wait. So we've gone from meeting abroad. We've jumped to you're both abroad but in different locations.
Okay, yeah, I'll just fill you in quick. So, wait, me? Yes.
No, what I'm saying is it's not a really good segue.
Okay, well, what do we just say? I'll just say I've got a long distance story. And then we'll go into
I'm abroad.
it. Okay, so speaking of meeting abroad, this isn't meeting abroad, but this is dating abroad, I guess, if you will.
But from a long distance.
Point of view. And actually, I would say Zach and I did long distance the first 6 months anyway because he fucking lived in Wandy at the end of the freeway. So some would say that actually prepared us.
Because you were, what, an hour apart?
No, it's like 40 minutes. But you know what? With traffic, Berrigan Drive to Rowley Road is traffic central. So yes, long distance, if you will. No, so we did long distance. We started dating. Been like 5 months dating. I was like, oh yeah, the first few months. No, this is just fun, little casual. It's nice before I go and move overseas to America.
Woo!
And then
Hot girl America season.
Exactly. Hot girl ski season, 21, let's go. See you later. No.
We were all concerned.
He got his greasy little mitts.
Oh, he fucking did too, didn't he?
And I was like, no, don't want a partner. Anyway, after staying over, him staying at my house, him rocking up to my 21st.
That's right. Late.
Late.
Just so we're clear.
It was his best friend's 21st that night. So we have, you know, let it slide, but
I haven't let it slide.
not many people have. Poor guy trying to defend himself every time. No, obviously
How
wasn't
many years
serious.
ago was this? 6 years ago.
This was 6 years ago. And then I got an invite to his cousin's bar mitzvah.
Oh, that's right.
So I was like, well, this must be
Hey.
serious. If we're all going to the bar mitzvah together, the whole family's there. And you know, it was really funny at that bar mitzvah. They had like all their cousins there. And then the photographer was like, oh, like, let's get a huge family photo. And I was
No,
like,
you
oh,
weren't in
no.
it.
I was like, no. And then it was so awkward because they were like, just get in it. I was like, no. And then they did like just a cousins one, then they did a partners one. But at that stage, it was only like 2 partners. So it was just like awkward. But then I was like, I reckon I was strategically put on the end. So
They
that
crop you out if
Nan
you broke
could have just
up.
cropped me straight out if there was any issues, crop her out. So anyway, no, so that was, and then it got a little bit serious, obviously. I was like, no, I'm still going overseas. Got my visa. It wasn't cheap. Going overseas.
Gotta get my money's worth, babe.
Got to get my money's worth. Straight to America. And then that was long distance. So I would say it's very hard, especially when you're only early days of dating. But actually, then I kind of thought maybe it would be harder now. Because like if Zach suddenly picked up and went to America now, I'd be like, oh. Like I always
Yeah.
think it would be harder doing it now
Yeah.
than early days.
Yep. Mhm.
But I did look up some stats because I was like, wonder how many people actually survive long distance.
Can I just stop for a second? Nicolette did.
What?
She says she didn't want a partner, and then she goes, shit happens. So, sorry, Zach, but apparently you're the shit that happens.
That was my notes. Didn't want a partner and shit happened.
Shit happens.
Thank
You get into a relationship, shit happens.
Shit happened. And he's still here 6 years later. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how to tell him it's not that serious. But it's fine. I'll take your tips. Be open and honest.
Be open and honest.
Or just go up north.
Just fuck off up north out of reception, you'll be right.
Exactly.
Okay, what are some
So stats that I looked up.
Mm-hmm.
So average long distance relationship ends 4.5 months.
Do you know how long mine lasted? Hold on, let me figure it out. February
3
to
days.
March, April to May.
3.
3 months.
Wow.
And in that time, I got a visa to move to Canada for him and then had to figure out the situation.
Well, then lucky I was already in Canada. It's easy.
Yeah.
So success rate of long distance relationship, 58%, which is actually a lot higher than I thought it would be.
58%?
Yeah. Look, I don't know if these are, peer reviewed statistics. However, we'll go with them. Long distance relationships at 55% of people are worried that their partner will meet someone else.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. That's pretty obvious.
That stat.
That's
That
a
is-
pretty, I don't know, that's a pretty
obvious
obvious stat, but I just missed the obvious. Pretty stat. It's stat. Yeah.
Oh, only 2% of high school relationships survive the long distance phase.
Exactly. But that doesn't surprise me either. Because I was like, who's in a relationship in high school then does long distance?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know too many.
Now,
Maybe it's more American.
I
thing.
don't want to shit on people that are high school sweethearts. And I'm only saying this because I wasn't a high school sweetheart, so I'm clearly just jealous. But is the love of your life
in high school.
the person you went to high school with that lived just around the corner?
I just can't say it is.
I just don't know.
The ocean is very big.
The ocean is big. There's fishes.
Why stick to the pond? That's all I
Why
have
stick
to
to pond? And
say.
there's so many fishes in the ocean.
There is. Lots of rubbish too.
There's also lots of, crustaceans, mollusks, it's in there.
Plankton.
And shit does happen.
Many options. You don't just have to go for the fish. You can be a little bit diverse. So anyway, those are some surprising stats. But I would say I'm not surprised they end after 4.5 months because I reckon you just miss them and you just kind of if there's no end date, which actually goes into one of my tips for long distance, know there'll be an end date. Because if someone was just like, oh, I'm moving to Melbourne or whatever, I'd be like, well, are you ever coming back? And then they're like, no, not at this stage.
And what if they didn't ask you to move with them? Red flag.
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't ask that to come to America, but
Nah, it would have ruined the vibe. Shit happens. And that would have
Shit
shat all over you.
shat all over my plan. He wouldn't have been able to share my single bed in my staff accommodation. Would have been too much.
Right, what are your tips? Give me some more tips
I'll
for
say
long distance.
Know each other's communication styles. So that means talk every day or at least make a time to FaceTime once every few days or something.
Yep.
But however, time zones, shit.
Yes.
So
I do remember that from when I was just with I forgot what we called him.
I can't remember what he called him.
With my boyfriend.
Long distance.
My long distance boyfriend.
The love of your life. Because that's hard because I think it was ended up being my lunchtime was his after dinner time, which was perfect. But I was always out like snowboarding or like doing shit.
Just an outdoorsy girl. A mountaineer
Well,
girl.
was not hiking, sledding, snowshoeing. Well,
Through the snow?
straight to the snowshoeing hut. Make a call. I actually did those snowshoeing once. It was very boring. I was like, I feel like we're just hiking uphill with massive tennis rackets on our feet.
Nah,
Not
for
about
me.
it. But yeah, set times to call or know that there's times to call.
Yep.
Make times.
Love that.
Again, know there's an end date or at least like plan a visit. So, I mean, I wasn't going to visit home. That's stupid. My visa was a year. I'm not fucking flying back to Australia. So I said, why don't you come over here?
Makes sense. Hold on.
And
Did
you
you
did.
stay for the whole year? I feel like you...
I was there for like 10 months.
Okay, interesting.
And then he came back. He came over in like April.
Cute.
Yeah. So that was a nice little break up. I got there in like November. So he came there in like April.
Aww.
And then we did like a nice big road trip, US, Canada, etc., which was great.
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. No, that was very nice. FaceTime, sext, whatever you want to do to keep the spark alive. I definitely didn't sext just saying that, but I did send a few cheeky nudes.
Did you?
I did.
Sorry.
But I was definitely
big fat slash over here.
big. Do things but like a good tip is like do things your partner doesn't like doing, or like eat places they won't like, because I feel like now you always got to do shit that your partner likes doing.
True.
So
True.
if you're apart, make the most of it and be like, oh, I did all you can eat sushi every Monday, which also explained a little bit of weight gain over the time there. All you can eat sushi. It's a lot of sushi every Monday. But that's a good thing. Zach doesn't like sushi, so there you go. Don't listen to people's opinions.
People have so many fucking opinions.
They do.
I don't like them.
Too many.
But I guess what I would like to add to this is I can completely relate. Currently, right now, I would say I'm in a long distance relationship.
Your partner doing FIFO doesn't count as a long distance relationship. A week on, week off kind of relationship.
Does FIFO. Nope. He's going home for Christmas.
Home for the holidays.
Yes. So
Lovely. Hope he doesn't.
I will use these
know.
tips. Thank you. Perhaps we'll work around the
Maybe
time difference.
when
We'll have
he's
to plan that.
the 1 hour.
We'll work around that. I'll send some sex.
Maybe when he's back, actually, you could bring him in and we could talk about your struggles for long distance relationship.
Yes.
And get his side of it. And that would be good too. But I did actually ask Zach, I said, do you think it's harder being at home or being the person away? Because I was like,
Oh, that's a good question.
because I was like, oh, it's really hard being away because I was obviously away over like Christmas, and that's like one of my favourite times of year. The sun, the beach, the family, the
Yeah.
pavlovas,
Crayfish.
baby frankfurts,
Baby Frank.
crayfish. And I was like, oh, like I was having like a white Christmas, and it was like, it's still away from home. Like, it still doesn't feel like home as much, especially because like I didn't know anyone. And then he was like at home with all his family and like getting like Snapchats and like everyone's at the beach and in the pool, and it was like, I was like, oh my God, like I miss home so much. That's so sad. Like I'm here by myself and you're like having such a good Christmas. But then he was like, that's only like 2 weeks of it. And then he's at work every day and he's like, you're like snowboarding and snowshoeing and eating all you can eat sushi. And he's just at home having his fucking sandwich for lunch. So
Boring.
I think it goes
Shit
both
does
ways.
happen.
Important
Yeah.
times of year it sucks, but then also other times of years.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yes.
But
But that's
I guess.
last one.
Oh.
Know that it will be hard, but worth it.
Oh, you could get a big fat diamond.
Oh,
at
you
the end
could.
of it.
You could get it 6 years later. You could land yourself a diamond.
Stop
There you go.
it.
But no, I would say if it works for you, do it. But I wouldn't do it if there was no end date.
I didn't like doing it with my previous
Yeah.
partner.
And I think huge issues as well, like meeting over, if you met overseas, then it's like, where do you come back and live? Do you go to Rockingham? Just stay in Freo?
We don't go to
They were
Rockingham.
like,
We
if
go
they
to
live,
Freo.
if they live over east or
You have
something,
to make a decision.
you have to make a decision before you come home, because heaps of our friends in Canada, remember?
They were like,
oh shit, like he's from Melbourne, I'm from Perth, Adelaide, whatever. And then what do? There's nothing. You don't know.
we don't know. We don't have the answers.
We don't have all the answers, but
Sorry.
we do have some.
Yes.
Okay.
You go on. I was going to say that's all we have time
That's
for.
what I was going to say too.
Oh, well, I guess we've come to an agreement, so that's all we have time for today. We will be releasing our podcast weekly on the ins and outs of dating and what not to do. If you like the podcast, please follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We're way more famous on TikTok.
We are. We're huge. Massive.
Huge.
Internationally renowned.
We are internationally renowned. That's it. So I guess see you next time.
Over and out.
Yes!